Creating a competition within Ambition, there are two options: Challenge, which is a standalone competition, and Fantasy, which is a multi-week season where the top 4 competitors will compete in a playoff at the end. For the most part, these are really similar. I'll go over the differences in Fantasy at the end of the video, but for now, we're going to build a challenge competition. When building a challenge competition, the first thing you'll need to do is give the competition a name. After that, you'll see that there are 5 main settings categories. 3 of them, time frame, competitors, and scoring, are really important. The other 2, prizes and add to TV, are both optional, so we're not going to spend much time there. For time frame, if you're doing a one-off competition, just one competition, it's pretty simple. All you do is add the start date, end date, start time, and time zone. However, if you choose to do a recurring competition, there are a few more options that you have to work through. You still need to do an initial start, an initial end time, and time zone, just like before, but now you have 3 new categories. You have the frequency of the recurring event, you have to establish when you want it to end, and then you have this display box, the expected occurrences that show you. Right now, this competition is running every single day, December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and ending an hour later, December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, because we have this set to repeats every one day. If I wanted this to run every Tuesday and Thursday, I could switch this to week and add in Thursday on both of these boxes. This is the start and end recurring event times. Now we see that Tuesday, December 1st at 11, we start, and we end Tuesday, December 1st at 12. We start Thursday, December 3rd at 11, and we end Thursday, December 3rd at 12, so on and so forth. After that, the only thing to fix is when the recurrence ends. Do we want it to never end? Do we want it to end after a certain number of occurrences? Or do we want to end on a date, like, let's say, the end of the year, because we want to start new competitions next year? After that, you'll select competitors. Anytime you're looking at hierarchy level in Ambition, you want to think about how you want the data to be represented. So for this, do we want competition teams competing against each other? Do we want departments competing against each other, or do we want individual users competing against each other? For me, in this competition, I want users, and I want them all to be competing, so I'm going to leave this as all. After that, we move on to scoring, and we need to add a score parameter. The first thing that we do is add in a metric, and I'm going to do meeting set. Then we're going to choose whether we want the value of meeting set to be the points awarded, or if we want to use a point system for the number of meetings set. And I'm going to choose point system and do 5 points per metric value per 1 meeting set. For every metric that you add into a competition, you have these scoring options. Per user average is a control that makes 10-person teams not just beat 3-person teams because they have 7 more players. It takes the per user average for this metric and makes it a fair fight for different sized teams. It is important to note that this only works on day or longer competitions. It pulls in the full day's average, and so you can't do that on an hourly or a few hour competition. It has to at least be 1 day long. Sum daily averages is best for competitions that are 1 day or longer, where you take metrics that aggregate by average, like activity score, and you add them together day over day instead of averaging them into each other. So day 2's activity score would be added to day 1's instead of averaging it together. It makes it a lot more dynamic and exciting for longer competitions. You can choose whether to exclude weekends or not, and then you can choose whether or not to allow benching, which is just a mechanism to allow managers to bench their reps if they're on PTO or they're sick or something like that, so that they don't drag down their team's score. The only difference between challenge competitions and fantasy competitions is this time frame setup. You have to choose a number of season weeks. There will always be 2 playoff weeks, and every game starts on Monday, so you can actually choose when you want it to end, if you want it to run for the full week, or if you want it to end on Wednesday, and you can choose the hour that you want it to end on. After that, you have this little summary of the fantasy season that shows you the dates and times when everything will end. If you've already created a competition and something looks off, follow the link in the document that's attached to this video called "Why Does My Competition Score Look Wrong?"